But here, on the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. Joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Back for another round.
Your co-host, Julie.
Hello from Illinois, the state bordering Wisconsin, where it's a little less musky today.
You totally made a time late. Your co-host, Thorsten.
Hello. Originally, I had another quote in mind, but about an hour ago, that all changed. So, hello, all you crabs. I'm in power now. I'm near the power of all everything. I'm almighty.
Okay.
Bow to me.
I demand you pull your General Zod impersonation at every at the beginning of every podcast from now on. Kneel before Thorsten.
No, really not. I'm not that guy. I'm not that kind of person. No.
It's a weird time, folks. It's a weird time. We don't know where Jacob. We don't know where Jacob is. We don't know where he's on the Discord here, but we don't know where he is. Hopefully, he'll join us. And finally, your co-host, David.
I'm here to shoot shotguns and kick ass. And I'm all out of shotgun shells. Wait, that's not the quote, is it? No.
Close. I'm a little scattered today, my friends. I apologize. We did not have a show last week. Am I remembering that correctly? Because of stupid stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stupid apartment stuff. Sorry, folks. We didn't have a show last week. But here we are. Someone in our Discord, Rock and Roll, which is ROCKINROWL. That's a pretty great handle, if you ask me. Asked us to do a topic on replayability, which is, I think it's a good idea. But how do you cover that? That's like a very broad. So we've broken it down into at least two parts. Today we're going to talk about one game each, at least one game each, that embodies replayability. And the next time we talk about it, we're going to talk about the games we've replayed the most over our gaming careers. So, because replayability is really, really broad.
Extremely
broad. So we're going to try and tighten the focus a little bit. So today we're going to talk about the games that for us embody replayability. Like what's the game that comes to mind for us when we think of replayability? And of course, for me, since it's maybe because it's newer for me, it's front of mind because I play it all the time. I immediately thought of Starfleet 2, and I know I talk about Starfleet 2 a lot, but I'm going to try. I can talk about Starfleet 2 for hours and have, but I'm going to try and keep it. I'm going to try and keep it within the fence of replayability. Starfleet 2 is immensely replayable for several reasons. First, the maps are randomized. Every time you play a mission, the map is randomized. The planets, the planet maps, locations of star bases, locations of enemies, everything's randomized. And if you fail a mission, you have to replay it again until you pass it. But when you replay it, the map is randomized once again. So you never get quite exactly the same map. Two, once you've completed a mission, you can replay that mission whenever you want in what's called practice mode. And I think you could actually play the mission in practice mode even before you do it in your career. So I think if you have, like, say, the third mission coming up in your career, I think you can do practice mode for that mission before you play it for quote unquote real. So you have the practice mode, which gives you more opportunities to play the game on random maps with random enemies. And the fact that the maps for the planets that you will be invading are all random. The placement of the enemies you'll be fighting, their star bases, their ships, and their behaviors in a lot of ways are you're never going to encounter the same enemies in the same place. And the enemies get smarter as you get more skilled. So there are 7 ranks in the game. And by the final rank of Admiral, the enemy AI is making flotillas to attack your starbase to distract you from finding their colonies and starbases. And they do hit and run attacks. They do full-on assaults. It's never the same. So there are a lot of random elements to Starfleet 2 that make every gameplay fresh. Right now, I'm in my second career, in which I'm trying to finish every mission in one attempt. And if I fail, I start over. So far, I've made it through 4 missions, but it's been great. And so that's why I've probably got well over 1,000 hours in this game at this point. And much of that is due to the randomness of the maps, the enemies, the availability of practice mode, which lets you replay any mission you want, again on a random map. So for me, that's the game that embodies replayability the most, at least in the front of my mind. There are a lot of games I've played over the years that have great replayability, but that's the one that was front of mind for me. So Spaz, do you have one?
Oh yeah, of course. Now, it was nearly impossible for me to narrow this down to just one game that embodies the idea of replayability. Just the very concept of what makes a game replayable, because there are many factors to that. But for me, I was able to narrow it down to one, and that would be FTL Faster Than Light. Now, I'm also including the multiverse mod with this, because the multiverse mod adds hundreds of playable ships, which adds far more replayability than one could have possibly expected. And
I would say
all the extra races. Go ahead.
I would say a mod is definitely a part of a game's replayability. You know, mods are definitely part of a game's overall replayability. So yeah, I would totally include the multiverse mod, 100%.
I have to include it because you could get hundreds of hours over the base game, but if you're adding in the multiverse mod, there's hundreds of ships on top of all of that you can unlock, and there are more events, more weapons to play around with, more races. There's everything added that's just more and more of what you already like in the base game. And of course, because of that, the degree to which it is replayable is wild. And there's a reason I have over 800 hours on Steam for just that one game. And it's out of the thousands of hours I've put into roguelikes and roguelites. That's one of the ones that's at the top of the list in terms of hours played.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would be your choice. Because we've talked about it at length.
Many times.
Many times. Yes, many times it has come up about how much you love that game with its multiverse mod, how impressive it is. You know, it's just... I mean, the base game alone, I'm going to give credit to the base game alone for help kickstarting the resurgence of space games that we have right now. Yeah. I mean, its success showed people that, hey, people actually want games with spaceships.
And not just that, roguelikes and roguelites as a direct result of FTL being kind of a pioneer in that regard, or at least a trend setter in that regard. Yeah,
it really started its own like subgenre of like the sector jumping roguelike, basically. Like I don't think there was a game like it before that. I think.
Not really, no.
But I don't think there was a game where you would jump from sector to sector, and each sector had a random event or a random fight or whatever. Yeah, I don't think
you can
that
even
was a
see
thing.
that DNA in things like Slay the Spire because of that node travel.
Yeah, there are a lot of games now that have that node, that sector travel. Yeah, so you could almost call them FTL likes, really. I think that is a thing. I think that is I don't think I just made that up. I think
there are dozens of other games that take a heavy inspiration from FTL's design, like Shortest Trip to Earth.
Yeah, exactly. And deservedly so. It's a remarkable game. I mean, it's kind of this and like both Elite and Star Citizen having their fundraisers at like roughly the same time were really the catalysts for jumpstarting this new era of space video gaming. So we owe a lot to FTL. It's an excellent game. Folks, if you haven't played it, what are you doing? I mean, come on. If you're listening to this podcast, you've probably played it. But if you haven't, get it as soon as possible. Seriously, it is an astounding game. Like it's really nothing. I mean, it's such a good game. Oh, I had a feeling that would be your pick.
If I had to narrow it down to just one, which I did,
it's hard. Yeah, it's tough.
It has to come to that.
It's tough to narrow it down to one. Yeah, it's absolutely tough. Julie, do you have one?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Excuse me. I'd have to say that I have to put a qualifier on this because the games that I play, put in the most hours in are usually because I like the IP. Like I love Star Trek. It's how Fran and I met. But the thing is, I go back to it not because it's got all that much replayability, but I go back to it because I enjoy the IP. Same thing with like there are games I play that had a lot of hours on it because here's what I want to accomplish, and it gets kind of grindy. But the one that has the most replayability for me, and I would say anything by Bethesda, and in specifically, I would say Skyrim. And the reason for this is because of mods. And again, there has to be a little qualifier on that.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I mean,
if I hear this jackass say, "Oh, you're finally awake" one more time, I am going to effing scream.
Come on, that's part of the charm, man. That's part of the experience.
So
I mean, there's even a pillow with the design.
I know. I want that pillow. I know. I've seen that pillow. I love it.
There are one of the first mods I ever installed was the one where alternate start. And the guard dogs have just gone off. Sorry. And other than that, my thing is there are not a lot of games where I can mod the game myself, and this is one of them. It's like, this character isn't unkillable. It's like, is now. Or if there's like in one of the Fallout games, one of the main characters dies, and I wrote a mod that says EDE lives, and it was popular. Or in this case, the big deal is I like to put in like buildings or quests, and because of the modding community, and I feel the modding community is what has kept this game alive, obviously, over the years.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are mods out there that, taken alone, are bigger and even better than the main game. And there's this one mod out there that was like this haunted house mod, and it was like a full expansion. This is the only mod I've ever played that scared the hell out of me while I was playing it. And it was like playing a well-written horror novel by Stephen King. And so this is, and plus what makes this game replayable for me is not just the main quest line, because I find after I've beaten the main quest line a couple times, when I play it now, I avoid the main quest line like a plague. Somebody says, oh, you're the chosen one. No, I'm not. Hell with it. There's even a mod out there that says you're not the chosen one. And so there's so many little unusual things in there little quests that you have to come upon that no matter how many thousands of hours you've played across everything you've ever owned, I've never owned a pregnancy tester, but it's on a pregnancy tester someplace, that you can still discover things. I've come upon things with over 1,000 hours in the game. I said, I had no idea this was there. So that's one of the things that quality is what explorability, I guess, and not just land for the sake of having sprawling land, but you can walk in a direction and actually find something to do. That's what makes it replayable.
Yeah, I mean, I keep meaning to return to Skyrim, but then I think about all the mods I'd have to install. I'm like, oh no. I don't have the patience for that anymore. But when I was heavy into Skyrim, I had 50, 60 mods for it running that like added and changed so many things that make it into almost a different game. It's a shame you can't mod like the Switch version. That's the only downside. Like, I love the Switch version, but I can't mod it. So it's like
you can, but what it takes to mod it, yeah, but what it takes to do it also, there's software where you have to install it, and it will take away any warranty you have on it. So it is possible, yeah.
Oh,
but they do so. But they sell an updated version that has mods in it already. And I wanted to point out that Jacob just joined us.
Oh, hey, Jacob.
Hello, and I've also defeated my audio drivers, which were not cooperating.
Love Windows Audio.
Windows Update.
Love Windows Audio. The House of Cards of the Windstorm. Love it so much.
Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. I totally woke up on time and didn't oversleep by 20 minutes. I know it's 8 p.m. Look. I am God's sleepiest soldier, and I have to uphold that title to the best of my abilities. Anyways, carry on. Let me get my bearings.
Better late than never.
No worries. Yeah, we're glad you finally made it. Yeah, I could. I mean, I have seen though that there's some like all-in-one mod installers for Skyrim, which has kind of tempted me to go back. That's like I don't know if I have that in me.
Well,
it's so good.
There's
though.
a lot
it's so good.
If you're going to mod Skyrim, my suggestion is to avoid the Steam plugins and
oh god, no,
no. And go out actually to the Nexus site.
Absolutely, 100%.
I don't use the all-in-one, but I've gone out there. I've created mods for them, and that's my suggestion if you want to mod, and add them one at a time because it's easy for a conflict to occur. And if you have a conflict, take them out one at a time.
Yeah.
But it is. I do still find it interesting how Bethesda became like the flagship for moddable games, despite their engine, even in vanilla, constantly falling apart.
I think it's kind of funny that the mods have made their game more stable. Like after I add,
which
it's weird. Like after I added like 60 mods, I never had a crash. Not once. I could talk about Skyrim all day, and talking about it has kind of made me like, can I get back into this?
I'd say no.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I have opinions on Skyrim.
I know. I love Skyrim, but the problem is I play on 2 different machines now, and like so I'd have to make sure the mods are all synced up on both machines, so the saves work and blah blah blah. It's like
that's gonna cause a headache.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to do it. Even though I love Skyrim, and I've been tempted to go back because very few games do exploration as well as Skyrim does. But damn, I need mods. I need freaking mods. All right. Skyrim is an excellent one, Julie. Thorsten, do you have one?
1 millions. Millions.
I know we all really do, but one.
Yeah, we all have a lot.
No, seriously. it's one of the criteria why I buy a game. I really look a lot for replayability when I buy one, and there's a reason behind it. Let me go through it. It was back in the mid '90s when the Wing Commander 3 came out. That was the first one with full FMVs, and I paid a lot of money for the game, and basically I paid money for a movie with some stuff in between. Let's put it that way, because I didn't really enjoy the gameplay, honestly.
Wait, for Wing Commander 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're not wrong. Like, let's be honest, friends. The Wing Commander games are really movies interspersed with mediocre missions. That's basically what they are.
It's a Mark Hamill film with aspirations.
Yeah, I see it the same way. So since back then, I really choose my games when it comes to replayability, and I really look if there are random elements in there or procedurally generated elements, or even full campaigns. That's, by the way, one of the reasons I don't like DCS as much. So they are still working.
Hell yeah. Fuck DCS. Yeah. Fuck it.
I kind of like DCS, and I still agree.
Yeah,
purely because I believe there should be something better.
There are things better, but like that gets all the attention because whoosh, buttons. Anyway, that's a whole different.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. Again, that's the things I look for, and another thing I look for is does it give me results in a tangible frame of time? That excludes a lot of games by Paradox, like Stellaris, for example. And my example is actually pretty old. It's from 1987 again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Older than mine.
It's just 2 years. But I choose this game particular because it was the first game I really realized how important replayability is. I mean, every previous game from the same developer is highly replayable, and most of the other games afterwards too. And that game is Pirates.
Oh yes,
the original.
Okay.
The original one. It ticks every single point in the replayability. Genre.
That's a good one. Shit, yeah.
Solid pick.
Oh, love Pirates. And Sid Meier was
off of Sid Meier.
Oh, Sid Meier was huge. Like, let's just give props to Sid Meier because so many of his games are replayable. Not just Pirates, Red Storm Rising, F-19,
every game.
All the games.
Every game.
Yeah. He is such he's a bastion of replayability. That guy, my God. Sid Meier's Pirates is so. And you know what's great about Sid Meier's Pirates? They're all good. Every iteration is great. Like there was what, 3 or 4? 3. So there's the original, and then there's Pirates Gold, right? And then there was the 2003 one, I believe. And they're all great. They're all great. All 3 of them. They're great. You can play any one of them and have a great time pirating around the Caribbean, however you say it. Oh my God. Yes. I love, that's one of my go-to, on my tablet. With Magic DOSBox, that's one of my go-tos because it's so replayable and great. I
mean, you've got everything in there.
Everything.
You've got replayable maps, randomized maps. The gameplay itself is always engaging. It's nearly if I've got one of the games I would name as name with for perfect game design. Seriously.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you've got sword fights, you got dancing, you got politics, you got combat, you got trading. There's freaking everything in this game.
Oh, right. I mean, boats, yes. Okay. Speaking of that, one of the few games that also tick this same vibe is of course the Mount & Blade series, which comes of course with a lot of modability and a lot of mods, and those at least Bannerlords is getting boats too.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
People didn't hear it.
Right, it is. I'm excited to see how that turns out, though. I have no idea how they're going to make it work.
I think they're adding a whole new area.
I'm excited for it. Yeah.
They're adding a whole new big area of the game, right? They're adding a whole new, like, oceanic area to the game, I think, right?
Well, not oceanic, but
like an island and a sea around it and stuff like that. Like they're adding a big
and a new faction.
Yeah, new faction, and then I think it was 19 or so different types of seagoing vessels that are going to be added. I think that was the number. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was 19. I remember that number too.
Yeah.
This is the point. This is the point at which, since you're talking about Sid Meier, I feel I should mention one of the best advertising campaigns of all time, and that is the Civ Anonymous campaign, because I used to be just like that. One more turn, one more turn, one more turn, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and I got to go to work at 6. Okay, half an hour before I leave, I got time for one more turn. Civ Anonymous, absolutely.
Julie, to be honest, that was another game I've thought about to bring up, but I did choose Pirates because it's a bit older. It's a couple of years older than Civilization, but Civilization is definitely another game that falls in the same vein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. Now I want to play Pirates again. Maybe I'll play some today on my tablet. Okay. Pirates is an amazing pick. Amazing pick. All right. Jacob, you got one for us? I know you came in late. Did you pick up on what we're talking about?
So replayable games, roughly.
Yeah, like
is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, the one game that to you embodies replayability, like the one game.
That's gonna be a tough one because I have a few options there. Because replayability comes in many flavors.
Right.
And there are games that aren't designed to be replayable that end up being replayable, and there are games that are designed to be replayable that kind of end up not being that.
Yeah. That's why we tried to narrow this down, because it's such a broad topic. That's why we.
For example, in my opinion, as fun as Skyrim is, I do actually kind of believe it's not that it doesn't have replayability, it's that it's not fun to replay, at least for me, without modding the crap out of it. Because for one reason that it's basically opposite of Cyberpunk 2077. You come up with, because what I do in games, especially in role-playing games, is I come up with a build, a character concept, and I try to get to it and see how much I can do. And in Skyrim, you try to make a build, and then you crouch and shoot something with an arrow, and you see 3 times damage modifier, and you realize, oh, I'm just going to build a stealth archer again.
Pretty much every character I've made in Skyrim turns into a stealth archer.
Stealth archer and anything else, yeah.
Yeah, it's stealth archer and everything else, because everything else is just you point at a thing and hold left mouse button.
I'm gonna be
eventually drops dead.
Be honest with you. I've never done the stealth archer. I'm always the guy that has a sword in one hand and a spell in the other. And if they make it through my spells,
you're terrible at stealth, Brian.
Yeah, no, I am terrible at stealth. You're right. So I go in with a spell and a sword.
Fair enough.
If they make it through the spell, I slice them with the sword. That's basically how I play.
Now, admittedly, part of that is part of why stealth is so popular and arguably so easy, because it's Bethesda AI. And Like, stealth isn't supposed to be the easiest way to get through the game, but with Bethesda AI it is. But the opposite of that, in my opinion, is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that I have actually replayed a third time recently, something I usually never do. I don't tend to replay games. But the reason why I replayed Cyberpunk 2077 is because there is so much stuff you can do with it. Mm-hmm. And even if you hypothetically just turn the game into a completely linear one, you can still play through it completely differently purely because of the 2.0 update, the variety of character builds, weapons, and combos that you can pull off. You could be a freaking cybernet, like even just the hacking ability, net running, can come in like 7 different flavors, including one where you just possess bicycles and roll up into places and just wipe everyone out without ever being there. Or you can run a melee build that slows down time and can slice someone in the up with a that can slice someone up with a katana 57 times within a single second. Or you can have machine guns, lots of machine guns. It's the variety of builds that most open world games tell you they have. Because a lot of open world games,
meta.
Yeah, a lot of open world games have stuff, and all that stuff is really samey, and you always approach it similar or the same way, or you develop or you figure out the one way that's the best at everything, and then you just stick to that.
That's a good choice. I've replayed through it twice, and my two, I mean, it wasn't just male V and female V that were different. Like, I did completely different play styles.
Yes. Now,
for both.
I have, by the way, for the never actually gotten an ending. Hanako is still waiting at Embers since the game's release. It's been like half a decade, and Hanako is still sitting in that bar. And I'm pretty sure every Cyberpunk player that's reached the end game knows exactly what I mean.
So just looking at her watch, like,
man, really
looking at her watch, just wondering where the fuck you are. Yeah, like where are they? Oh man!
Can I just say at this point, I don't give a damn how good looking Keanu Reeves is. My character is not going to go all the way to the end.
Oh, okay.
Respectable.
Yeah, no, I don't blame
it's a
you.
choice, and there's that's certainly how some people want to play.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Silverhand is not a great person, and
well, it's like the Commander Shepard thing, and it's like what happens to Commander Shepard? I said, okay, I stop right here. This is why when I watch a lot of shows, it's like the main character to this day. Star Trek Enterprise, I have not watched the last episode.
Oof.
Because I liked Trip.
Look, Johnny Silverhand is, how do I say this? He is a product of his environment. The environment is Night City, and Night City, yes, it deserves a second nuke. I will stand by that statement.
Yeah,
it absolutely deserves a second nuke.
Now, in response to Julie's comment about Commander Shepard, there is the specific ending that you can get if you know what you're doing. There
is now.
I have
there is now.
When I originally played it, there wasn't, and I have not been back since, like there is now. But I reinstalled it because I understand it's hard to get. But yes, the thing is like, okay, I really like Keanu Reeves as an actor, but he ain't going to get what he wants.
And I mean, am I allowed to potentially bring up a second idea?
Sure, why not?
Because I did mention games that weren't designed to be replayable, but are. And in my opinion, how would I best describe it? Okay, I'm going to say it. Anything with a dynamic campaign. Anything with a dynamic campaign, like Cold Waters, like all those old flight sims and the like, those can end up dramatically replayable if and only if the core gameplay is good. I have personally played. I'm personally going to bring up Cold Waters because it's the game that I replayed the most, technically speaking.
Do we have boats on the bingo card? I think we should, if we don't already have boats on the bingo card.
We've already talked about boats, so
Boats is a free space. I'm in this server. But yes, let me get out my words. I'm still slowly waking up. Sorry. But if you have a sufficiently good core gameplay loop, if you have enough interesting mechanics in just going into that you could just go into a mission with a bunch of enemies and still have fun, you could replay a game that game for a very long time and just play the hell out of it, even if it's not necessarily designed as replayable, because every mission in the end boils down to you are a submarine, you find a fleet you need to blow up, and you blow it up.
Yeah.
A similar game actually is, all right, technically also a boat game, but not necessarily, Swirl Watch, a game that I believe I've mentioned a few times. And did you ever actually play yours on stream?
Swirl Watch?
Yes, it's. Yep, please link it. It is yet another vehicular stealth game, and this one is strictly mission based.
I've played that one, and I'm so bad at it. I bought it for myself, and I am just. I don't even think I've passed the tutorial in this one. This is.
I don't blame you. It does not take prisoners.
It doesn't. It does. It's like playing a 90s shareware indie game. That's how the difficulty feels. It is very much. It's
personally, I absolutely adore it. Precisely,
it's wonderful.
Basically, it's mission based, and because it's mission based and it has missions that are at least somewhat procedural or at least segmented, you can get a lot of combinations of hilarity, missions, and stuff. But obviously, there's an upper limit, and eventually you do kind of run into a problem of I have perfected my playstyle for that given difficulty. And you could just kind of breeze through anything. And that is, I think, the big wall for replayability in most games. It's like, yes, you can theoretically go through infinite permutations of like a procedurally generated game, but eventually you're gonna hit a point where you just go, oh, okay, so you run through all the permutations of what you could do, and you just do it. It's why a lot of people stop enjoying Minecraft, partially myself included, because you play the hell out of it for years straight, and you end up with and you just know everything like the back of your hand, and you can play it with your eyes closed, even if it's procedurally generated. Because eventually you can just connect the dots yourself.
Very little is going to surprise you at that point.
Exactly, because very little is going to surprise you.
I have another pick to mention, but I'll wait until after David's pick is done.
Yeah, I'm honestly done, so continuing.
All right. I'll guess I get started here. Yeah, I should have probably fought through my picks a little bit more, but I have one here. So back in 2005, a little game for the GameCube was released, something called Resident Evil 4. And I played it on my friend's GameCube a couple of times. Let me link the game here. And I played through it, and I was like, "Holy crap! This was a scary experience. I'm gonna put this game to the side now, or whatever." But I was hanging around with another group of Americans at the time, where we played the Unreal Tournament during some evenings and stuff. Very nice. And we also played some Guild Wars. And one of the guys, the leader of the group, he actually replayed Resident Evil 4 over and over again. And I asked him, "Why are you replaying the game? It's just one story that you play through." "Oh, but you gotta try upgrading all the weapons. It's so insane, the combat sandbox, as they call it." What are you talking about? So yeah, the first time through Resident Evil 4 is an experience, let's just call it. When you play through it, you do it for the combat. So there's one thing that I always think back to with Resident Evil 4 that's something that I really don't see in a lot of games nowadays, and that's weapon balance. Well, mostly weapon balance. All weapons have a function or a gameplay style assigned to it. I mean, even the first handgun that we have, the Silver Ghost, that is called afterwards, it's basically a USP. It has a 3 times headshot multiplier. That's insane if you can aim. So if you can't aim, yeah, it's probably not a good pistol for you. But if you pick up the Red 9, it's all about firepower, baby. It's the most damaging handgun in the game. And yeah, every weapon have some kind of quirk like that. Like the Punisher pistol can shoot through enemies, and you can upgrade it to 3 at the very end, which makes you able to shoot through entire groups of enemies at once. So we can try to run around and exploit the AI so they walk in a straight line toward you, so you can take out a couple of bad guys at the same time. Or how I think there's the riot gun. I think it's called one of the shotguns, which is probably an M4 Benelli that you can increase the. Or is it striker? One of the shotgun elites, you can increase the blast radius, or will the shrapnel or whatever, the blast, increase the blast area. All shotguns are made for, well, crowd control in Resident Evil. So when you have like 10 enemies crawling towards you or something like that, you just blast them away with just one shotgun shell. It's goddamn fantastic. I mean, even the TMP that does the least amount of damage is perfect for stunning enemies and then lighting them up for a CQC blow. I mean, there's over the years I played it on PlayStation 2, Wii, and now computer. So it has done something right for me to replay the game a couple of times, I suppose. But I still haven't completed the game on professional. The game is so freaking hard on professional. Basically, that is another thing with a combat sandbox with a game. If you play the game on easy or normal, you will have the AI director automatically balancing the game. So if you're doing poorly, enemies will drop more resources and ammo next time you press continue, which is pretty neat. So the game is actually automatically adjusting the difficulty. If you're popping too many heads or whatever, yeah, the enemies will get more tanky or will try to avoid the headshots or whatever, like they perform a little dodge move, throwing off your aim. So no playthrough on normal and easy is pretty much the same. But yeah, professional, that is disabled. So enemies are fully cranked up to full difficulty right from the get-go and will never get lower. So you better know what you're doing. Oh, and also, some people are pointing it out that the difficulty is called professional, and the player character of Resident Evil 4 is Leon. So Leon.
Oh,
the
come
professional.
on.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So we didn't have that reference in there.
Oh man. I've never played any of these games because they look terrifying.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So
more than others, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so I just gotta go to the future to Resident Evil 8 that came out a couple of years ago, where Capcom tried to capture this magic from Resident Evil 4, not making it too much actiony like Resident Evil 6. Let's not never forget that, and try to strike some kind of balance between horror and gunplay and whatever. So when they release Village, Resident Evil 8, they have the same kind of thing where you can pick up different guns, but they forgot an incredibly important thing. Each gun is always better than the last. So if you start out with a Lemmy pistol, I have a little pistol, and then in the late game you'll find the somehow only semi-automatic VZ61 Scorpion submachine pistol that is performing better in all aspects. So yeah, there's no reason to go back to the first pistol. So when they made that gold edition of Village, they added these modifiers that we saw in Resident Evil 4. These things that I talked about, that all weapons have some kind of niche they can fulfill and stuff. They can take part in the combat sandbox. But I forgot another thing. I forgot to make it available from the start. You need to play the minigame Mercenaries to unlock it.
What?
Which probably not all players are playing. So you need to play a minigame to unlock something for the base game.
What? That's
Yep.
That's
That
asinine.
is very like 90s Japan game, admittedly.
Oh,
really?
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't even know until pretty much recently, just a few years ago, that if you completed Mercenaries in the original Resident Evil 4, Mercenaries will full stars on each map. Like you're doing terribly well. You're getting all the headshots or whatever, surviving the longest, yada yada, best scores. All maps full stars with all characters. You unlock the hand cannon, which can be unlocked to have unlimited ammo. Oh yeah, speaking of, there's unlockable weapons as well, like the freaking Tommy gun. There's a Tommy gun in Resident Evil 4. Don't ask me why. And then you can have also a gangster outfit for Leon. So yeah, he can look like a gangster with a Tommy gun. I don't know why, but it's pretty funny.
So it's the grind to get the better guns that makes it replayable for you?
Yeah, and finding your niche. Like, yeah, I can probably go through this playthrough with this or whatever. I mean, some people are playing through Resident Evil 4, the OG, with just knife only. I have never done that. So those people are insane. So yeah. But it's really fun to find your favorite weapons and try to stick with them. Like, oh yeah, I like this weapon for this this kind of special ability it has. And also, I forgot to say about that, but since I mentioned 6 there, but Resident Evil 5 also had these kind of niche upgrade for weapons. But Resident Evil 5 is a can of worms I probably can take up here. So yeah, I guess most people already know. So yeah.
I wouldn't know. All right, we have a little bit of time. Does anyone want to throw out a second one?
Yeah,
I can look
I'll
through.
go in.
I've done it, so it's only fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so the game I want to mention just released not that long ago. In fact, I streamed the entirety of it here on Discord. David watched a lot of it, and that is Atomfall. Now,
Oh
yeah.
this is made by Rebellion. This is the same devs that made the Cyber Elite series. And the reason I want to mention it here is because there are 6 endings.
Oh.
Now keeping the majority of spoilers out of the conversation, you wake up in this exclusion zone 5 years after a nuclear disaster. Now, this is based on a real event that happened at the Windfall plant in northern England. It was a fire, not like Chernobyl, where there was a breach, but it was a fire that was the real event was a fire in 1957, and the game takes place in 1962. So you wake up, no memory, and you have to figure out a lot of things. You have a lot of incomplete information. So you have to do a lot of your own investigating to find leads. Now, these leads in your investigation, sometimes they overlap, sometimes they contradict. And depending on how you talk to people, that also affects how they deal with you going forward. What's really cool about this is, because there are 6 endings, the devs decided they were going to make, rather than a linear story, where you have the 6 endings and each one is a little bit different, sure. Unlike a lot of games, they made it into a web rather than anything linear. So you might find a clue in one location that leads you to another location and is related to another quest. But you might also find that you can get to these things out of order and sequence break the initial quest you would have had, depending on when you get there. Another thing that makes this cool, you can kill every named NPC, including your quest givers for the main quest.
Oblivion style.
So if you kill all 5 of the main NPCs that offer you a way out, there is still one more, and this is not a spoiler because this is a thing that pretty much anyone knows about if they've watched a trailer, is the telephones that are spread throughout the game. There are these phone booths and telephones that will ring, and if you pick it up, someone will talk to you and give you clues. And this is one of the possible endings, and the reason why is because it's your trap door of sorts. They've talked about this in the pre-release interviews and such, so that, again, not a spoiler, this is your trap door. If you kill all the NPCs that can lead you to an end, you still have one that you can't kill because you can't kill the voice on the other end of a telephone line.
You can kill the telephone, I imagine, but
Yes, but there are multiple telephones.
okay.
So what makes this really awesome is you effectively have a way to get to an ending even if you go through and genocide everyone who is a named NPC. You can also go through the game without killing a single NPC. It's possible. And I've tried, but I've not had much success so far. But these different endings have, and as I said, David watched me as I was streaming, and I got through one of the endings on stream. And I'm going through, and I'm going to go through to the other ones as well. But there's a lot to do in this game. Ammo is scarce, so you might have to rely on melee a lot of the time. Stealth is an option, but enemies can see you if they hear you, and they will converge on you, and they will not give you an inch if you don't know what you're doing. It's a fascinating game, and even though it just came out, I think it's going to be one of those that people are going to remember for a long time.
So, Atomfall, because it wasn't linked for some reason.
I do like
Oh, no, it was.
It was, yeah.
I'm
And
just
if I may
blind.
add, the environments are beautiful, if terrible.
All I know about it
Absolutely
is
beautiful.
it's supposedly British Fallout. No idea how
No,
accurate
it's not.
that is.
Nope. It is closer to if the Stalker series and Metro series had a baby.
That's okay. Interesting.
It's not like a Fallout where you have a lot of skill stats. You have a skill system, but it's more streamlined, where you can find skill books that unlock new types of skills you can learn, and then you get these training stims you can apply, kind of like BioShock, where you get the
Okay, I
serum.
think I'm following.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that for your skills. So
I'm certainly going to try it out.
Every skill has a use, but you can still customize your build. Like if you're going a no combat playthrough, there are certain skills that give you resistances or stamina boosts. And you may want to focus on those instead of the combat skills. And you totally can. Every skill has a use. It's a fascinating game. I'm thoroughly enthralled with it.
I have one.
Not for Brian or Julie. I should say that now. Horror is a big factor here. So
Oh yeah,
Brian, stay away from it.
I did look at the thing and I was like, nah.
No, Spaz warned me off it, so he said, no, Brian wouldn't like it either. Neither you nor
On the other hand, I'm very much interested.
It is very much your thing, Jacob.
As someone
yeah,
who has
I
played the
can't
heck
do that.
out of, I said both Stalker games. No, not necessarily all four Stalker games, but of Stalker and also all 4 Metro games. Or was it 3 at this point? I've lost count. Sorry. I'm very much on board.
No,
Yeah,
it should,
you would
it
like-
should be exactly your style, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you like replayability based on exploration, which is why I still play Minecraft from time to time because of like exploration and not just on the surface of the planet kind of thing and building railroads and whatnot. But the most explorable game I've ever played is No Man's Sky. 256 universes if you know somebody who already lives in this 256 one. And there's enough difference and things to do in each system, so that I've managed to accumulate 1,400 hours on it, which is probably nothing compared to Skyrim. But exploration is something that I'd like to do, go back periodically and see what devs have put into the game, and that's one of them.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Which game?
No
No
Man's
Man's
Sky, because they always update it, and the updates are always free, and
Right.
it's explorable, and there's a lot of things to do, and it's like, oh, hey, I'd like to build a little place here and come back to it. So
Apologies. It's getting lunchtime here and I'm getting foggy. Anyone got one more before we wrap up? I think you had more than.
Yeah, of course. I just want to mention two things. First, grind. Any grinding mechanics put me automatically off, personally. I mean, I know a lot of people that like those, but it's absolutely not for me. And I've got a second pick I want to mention at all costs, and that is Dwarf Fortress. Because it does embed everything we've mentioned before, but on a much higher and much more complex level. And I think that game should be mentioned today. That's all from me.
Fair.
I every time I look at Dwarf Fortress, because I'm interested in it, but every time I look at it, I'm like, no, I don't think this is a game.
I do not blame you. It is a game for psychopaths. It is a game for insane people.
Yes.
I watched
it
Luke
is game.
play it. I watched Luke play it, one of our listeners, and I said, I already got a job.
Yeah, that's entirely fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's time to wrap up, especially since I'm fading. So, friends, that's going to do it for today. Next week, we're going to do a check-in. We haven't done one of those in a while. So it's about time that we check in with ourselves and you guys and see how we're all doing and what we're playing. So that's what we're going to do next week. And tomorrow, I'm going to be playing some deck builder thing called Lone Star. Has nothing to do with Spaceballs. Nothing at all.
I was about to make a strawberry jam joke.
There's only one man that would give you the raspberry.
Raspberry jam, sorry.
Okay. But no, it has nothing to do with Spaceballs. I'm like, how'd they get away with this? So that's what we're going to play tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So have a great day, everyone. Be safe, be well. Take care of each other. Please get vaccinated while you can before the extreme right takes your right to get vaccinated away. Wear your masks while they're still legal before that gets taken away. Thank you, as always, to our patrons who help pay for things like Restream. And don't forget to wear your helmet. With that, we'll see you back here tomorrow for Lone Star.